All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is 1 o'clock on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. You're here with me, Sean. I just ran up 3 flights of stairs because the package arrived. So let me catch my breath as all of you come in. Join me on this wonderful, wild adventure into the genius land of time and space. Remember, I am out of shape, guys. Remember that you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram for any type of vids, any type of info, help, okay? You guys need anything at all. We're here to help you. We're here to connect you with English. So as you guys come in, introduce yourselves. Tell me where you're from, what you're doing today. Probably chilling at home. Today, guys, what's going to be our mission is to talk about genius, okay? And genius is a term that we have a traditional idea of what a genius is. Most of us always think of Einstein, but that's a classic representation of genius, is someone who is really smart. But today, what's really amazing in the life that we live in is genius can be in any type of platform and any type of kind of situation. Johnny, thank you for joining us. Come on in, brother. How are you doing today? And so when we talk about genius, my question for you guys is who do you think of when you hear genius? Okay, who do you think of when you hear genius? And what in your identity is a genius? What do you think is genius? Because people can be geniuses and ideas can be a genius idea. So we can also use genius as a way to describe things, okay? So for you guys, who do you think of and what do you think of? And please come on in. Whenever you come in, say hi, get to know me a little. I'm not your average genius. I'm below average, so it should be pretty fun. I remember, I'll give you a little anecdote because I know you guys were all looking for this. When I was about 13 years old, I played in a rock and roll band. Yeah, I know. American boy, rock and roll band. It's pretty wild. Especially young teenagers, we really know how to get into trouble. And our first band name was Silent Genius. Okay, yeah, we thought we were pretty clever, huh? But today we're going to look at genius. And today we're going to look at different ways to describe genius. So a silent genius. Okay, what exactly does that mean? Or for example, a very smart person, but if they use it for the bad, what kind of person is that? Okay? Because anybody can be smart. I mean, look at us as we're participating in this webinar today. You guys could be really smarty pants, okay? But as we're talking about being smart and intellectual, we have to think about the environment that we are in. I think the environment plays a very big role on our upbringing and also on our intellectual capacity. Okay, so when I talk about environment, I could talk about country. I could talk about difference between city or town or rural places where your neighbor might be 6 kilometers from you. Okay, exactly. So, and Leonardo da Vinci is the identity of this all know-how. Okay, I love it, Johnny. It's a great example. You think of this all-knowing, this person that can anything he touches turns to gold. And what's interesting about this concept of genius is it also plays along with the time period. Okay, so because of Leonardo, because of what he had done, now we coin Renaissance man as a person who can do everything. Okay, so it's really amazing how culturally, how historically we can use this vocab to actually understand the context and understand how we can describe people in that context. Because when I think of Leonardo, I think of the Renaissance man. And today, I don't want to be cliche, but today it seems like we're living in this identity of a Renaissance. If we talk specifically about arts, okay, we're in a very strange time in art. If we can't think traditionally anymore about painting, about sculpture, about writing, okay, everything, all the boundaries are being pushed. And that's what's really interesting about our time that we live in. We are pushing things because of technology. We're pushing things because of our capacity in our minds. I think that's happening at a much greater speed. Exactly. Very good. So, Johnny, that comes up, with a Bill Gates, or it brings to mind Steve Jobs. Uh, uh, the man who developed Amazon, Bezos, I think, Jeff Bezos. But what's really amazing is talking about art, for example, especially for you guys who have an Italian background or Italian studies. My initial idea of like a genius, and this could be controversial or not, but I think of Pasolini. I think of Pasolini as a writer, as a poet. I think of him as an idea guy. Okay, I think ideas are what drive our generations ahead and push things forward. And I like to think about it because I'm a person really into connections and making connections. And I think about, how people touch people through generations. And the reason why I think Pasolini became someone that was so influential and a genius of his environment is the fact that he was a student of Roberto Longo. And if anyone knows Roberto Longo, he was a great art historian. And to have that perspective onto a young, impressionable guy that took that teaching and developed it into his own and I use that for you guys to also, when you learn something, okay, it's all about applying it to you. It's about applying it to your style. And I think everyone has a sense of genius within them. And I think it has to do a little bit about finding your style and finding your voice. I think those are two very important steps in any process, in any adventure or any type of study that you do. Is often we have to take what we see and we take what we feel and we internalize it. And during that process, we can kind of create and develop a really well rounded perspective and also share with people. Okay. Sometimes it's not making the most complicated thing, but sometimes it's making that complicated thing the easiest to understand. So there's always going to be this balance between complexity and simplicity, between dark and light. Okay, life is living between the contrasts, if you want to think about it. And your genius, today I'm going to call them intellects or intellectual. Your intellect is what helps us to find ourselves and how to express ourselves. Okay, and that's what I want today to be about for you guys, is giving you guys the right tools to help you find your intellectual style so that you can find and express yourself easier. Okay. And great job again, Johnny. Excellent. He considers Van Gogh as a genius, not understood in his life, but appreciated later on after his death. And what's really interesting is Van Gogh and some of these post impressions, they come from the line of the concept of starving artist. Okay. Okay? So a starving artist is someone that, for example, even Modigliani, he was a man that was not very appreciated, and after he died, he became this explosive contemporary or concept of an avant-garde artist. So starving artist is someone that kind of sacrifices. You have this sense of sacrifice and dedication to the craft, but are really never appreciated and never really thought about or cared about. And then once they pass away, they become this bombshell of genius and creativity, and they become appreciated. So I guess we can say better late than never on that. So today, I want to introduce genius, but I also want to talk to you guys about different intelligences. And I found this back when I was in university, and it really helped me. And maybe you guys have already heard about it, but it's the Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. And a lot of you guys, whenever we think about intelligence, we think about IQ tests, right? We think about, how smart are you? And if we talk about smarts, for me, I kind of have two lines of intellects, okay, of smarts, as we can say. We have street smarts and book smarts, okay? And for you guys, you might feel more acquainted with, more comfortable with considering yourself one of these two smarts, okay? And being street smart or book smart isn't the fact that you live in a library your whole life and you've read thousands and thousands of books. And street smarts doesn't mean you live in the city, but it's your behavior. It's the way you act. It's the way you express yourself. It's the way you find what ticks inside of you. And for example, I come from an island, okay? But I would say that I have more of a street smart because I never really found a way to study. If you put a book in front of me, I might start to look at the physical makeup, but the stuff inside, I don't know if it ever really gets in my head. Okay, where street smarts, it was always a good sense of direction, knowing what to do in a quick pinch, okay, in a delicate situation, trying to work with people, okay? So interpersonal relationships developed a lot in my youth because of this street smart identity that I had, okay? So we're going to look at different words, different synonyms, and also look at different phrases between genius and smarts and intellects, and try to help ourselves define a little bit better who we are and what kind of intelligences we have. So first off, let's talk about these two quotes. Okay, looking at these two quotes, we have genius is the ability to reduce the complicated to the simple, okay? Or genius always finds itself a century too early. So take a moment, guys, and try to rephrase these two quotes, okay? See if you can kind of put them into layman's terms, as we call it. Layman's terms is another way to say in a simple way, okay? And also, if you can think of any other quotes that you connect to genius, please share them now. Okay, so we can look at genius. The first one, it's basically anything that's super complex into something that's really easy to understand. Or we can say, kind of like how Johnny brought up earlier, that genius is something that is never appreciated in the time of which it's discovered. It's always discovered later, right? We have people that are, you know, too soon before their time, or people that maybe came too late. But mostly geniuses are kind of keyed as they are before their time. Um, I want to take a quick moment and I want to change gears, okay? So before we get into prodigy, before we get into genius, I want to take a look at intelligences. And I want you guys to kind of ask yourself, as we're describing these, what kind of intelligence are you? Okay, so we're going to take a look at Gardner's theory, okay? We're going to take a quick look at what they describe as intelligences, okay? So intelligence is often defined as our intellectual potential, something we are born with, something that we can measure, and the capacity that is difficult to change. But today, I think living in the 21st century, especially, we can understand that we have multiple facets, we have multiple avenues for finding our intelligences. And what Gardner did, I think almost 10 or 20 years back, even more, I assume, is he developed kind of a graph of different areas. And of course, guys, remember, we are humans, okay? We are humans, and therefore, we have a lot of different intelligences. We have a lot of different things about us. We're complex. And sometimes I think even the euphoria that comes into our life are those crossroads of when we meet our complex selves with a simple realization. You know, it could be found through love, or it could be found through reading something. You know, I think some of the greatest times, what we call a stroke of genius, okay? The moment of great understanding, okay, of great explanation. It's just a very, very strong moment in time in your life. You know, like he had a stroke of genius. It was that moment that just everything came together, everything really made sense. So remember, you are a complex being and you have a lot about you and a lot to you. And your makeup helps you to understand yourself more. And so as we look here, you know, we have visual, linguistic, and verbal, interpersonal, intrapersonal. We also have logical, mathematical, musical, bodily, kinesthetic, and naturalistic. Okay, so here Gardner comes up with 8 different intelligences. And we're going to take a look at some of the different intelligences in a much deeper way so that maybe you guys can understand better what mix are you. Okay, I like to do this often. I like to mix and understand what kind of intelligence I am. So let's go to describe what these are. Okay, so now remember, the whole point of this mix of intelligence is that the fact that if you're particularly strong in one area, we can understand that they have a range of abilities, and they could be very strong in certain types of ways to express themselves. And that's the whole point, is you want to find the best way for you to express yourself. So we'll take a look first off at spatial and visual intelligence, okay? So these types of people are people who are strong with visual and spatial intelligence. They're good at visualizing things. Okay, so if you're a type of person that while someone's explaining something, you're developing a mind map in your head. You are a visual spatial learner. These people are really good with directions, a good sense of direction, charts, videos, and pictures. So they're the type of people that can see something and understand it immediately. Your characteristics, okay? You enjoy reading and writing. You're awesome at putting puzzles together. You're good at interpreting pictures, graphs, and charts. You enjoy drawing, painting, and visual arts, and you recognize patterns, okay? The really big cue is you recognize patterns. So this could help you, especially with learning your potential of what your career, okay? So you might be good at an architect, an artist, or an engineer, okay? So I ask you, Johnny, what are some of your strengths? Since I have you here, okay? Johnny, what are some of your strengths? And as we read, kind of think about what intelligence best suits you, okay? So a linguistic verbal intelligence would be a person who is strong in linguistic verbal intelligence, is strong with words, with writing and speaking. They are usually typically very good at writing stories, memorizing, not mesmerizing. That's the love intelligence. That's a different one. And information and reading. Okay. So their characteristics, they're going to be good at remembering written and spoken information. They enjoy reading or writing. So once again, see how we share with other intelligences. They're good at debating and giving persuasive speeches. They're able to explain things, and they often use humor when telling stories. Okay. Your potential career choices as a linguistic verbal intelligence is you're going to be looking for something as a teacher, a lawyer, a writer, or a journalist. Then we'll move down to one that I know for a fact I am not. A logical mathematical intelligence. Okay, this is one trait I do not possess, my friends. And I give you guys all the credit in the world if you possess it, because I would love to be in your shoes for a day. These people are strong at reasoning, recognizing patterns, and logically analyzing problems. The individuals tend to think conceptually about numbers, relationships, and patterns, okay? So if you're logical and mathematical, you are an excellent problem solver. You enjoy thinking about abstract ideas. You like conducting scientific experiments or experiments in general. And you're good at solving complex computations. So they're the ones that can bring the complex to the simple. Okay. Their potential career choices could be a scientist, a mathematician, a computer programmer, an engineer, or an accountant. Okay. Then we'll move on to 4. This is the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. So this is a person who really understands their body. Okay. They're good at movement, performing actions, physical control. They're strong in the area that tend to have excellent hand-eye coordination and dexterity. Okay, so if you're really good, if you're a very excellent hand-eye dexterity type of person, you're a kinesthetic type. Okay, excellent. Johnny, where are you coming at? Okay, my mind is structured in a pragmatic way, so it's rational. So would you say that you're more of a logical, mathematical, or are you finding some traits that that you kind of relate to in other facts? Okay, even though you're an engineer, you might be also athletic, and so those traits might help you to strengthen your one talent, having a nice hand-eye coordination or a good dexterity, a quick response. Okay, so take a look at it again, and you are an engineer, so you have that idea of getting things done and have mathematical and logic in your mind. But there's other things that influence you. So let's take a look and see, Johnny, what maybe influences you a little bit more in other aspects. Okay. So the bodily kinesthetic intelligence is going to be a person that is good at dancing and sports, enjoys creating things with his or her hands, excellent physical coordination, and tends to remember by doing rather by hearing or seeing. This is a very important aspect, Okay, if you are a person that needs to do something, that when you're learning, you need to touch it, you need to feel it, you need to smell it. You are a kinesthetic learner. Okay. Some people, for example, if I'm giving you this lesson right now and you are a kinesthetic learner, you want to be repeating what I'm saying. You want to be in my chair right now talking with me. Okay. You want to have that feeling. What type of careers could you might have? You could be a dancer, a builder, a sculptor, or an actor. Okay. Now we move on to musical intelligence. Your strengths are rhythm and music. Okay. You usually have a very, very strong appreciation for music, and you are often good at musical composition and performance. Okay. You enjoy singing, playing musical instruments. You recognize musical patterns and tones easily. You're good at remembering songs and melodies, and you're rich at understanding musical structure, rhythm, and notes. You could become a musician, a composer, a singer, a music teacher, or a conductor. Okay, so living inside of that musical identity, if if you're a person that if you're a person that's affected by sound, okay, sometimes you get a song in your head and you can't get it out. That's because music really plays a very important role in your life, and you should listen to that more because the song might actually affect your mood. Okay, just like for example, a kinesthetic intelligence might be the fact that if you hug someone and you feel something, you hold on to that feeling. Okay, and maybe you ask why you felt that way or something. So each intelligence you become inquisitive for different reasons, and there are different things that provoke your intelligence. Okay, interpersonal intelligence, you are a person that is really strong at uh, assessing emotions, motivations, desires, and intentions of those around you. Okay, you're really good at communicating verbally. You're skilled also at nonverbal communication. You see situations from different perspectives. You create positive relationships with others. Okay. And you're good at resolving conflict in groups. So this could be someone that's in a leadership role. It could also be someone who is a psychologist, a philosopher, a counselor, a salesperson, a politician. These are types of roles that could really work for a person who is interpersonal. Therefore, we also have the opposite, the intrapersonal. Okay, so a more introspective, a person that looks inside of themselves. They think more about who they are and how they relate to the world rather than trying to always create a group like situation. So these individuals, they tend to be very self-reliant. They tend to analyze and reflect, daydream a lot. They explore relationships with others, but they assess mostly their personal strengths. Okay, so they use relationships in a way to assess their self of how am I in the relationship of everyone else. They're really good at analyzing their individual strengths and weaknesses. They enjoy analyzing theories and ideas, so they're a little bit philosophical. They're excellent at self awareness. They clearly understand the basis of their own motivations and feelings, which I find completely impossible. But if you are intrapersonal, you know yourself better than me. Okay. So a potential career choice could be a philosopher, a writer, a theorist, or a scientist. Okay. So how are you guys feeling? Where do you guys think you're at? Okay. Do you think that your intelligences have guided you to the career that you have? Okay. Looking at Johnny, for example, in general, when I have a goal to achieve, I try to understand and use the external useful input that normally doesn't belong to me. Okay, very good. So you're the type of person that's kind of taking in a lot of input to kind of better understand how to resolve the problem. Okay, so you kind of look in the sense of an interpersonal type of structure that helps you to give yourself more confidence or more understanding on how to resolve a certain situation. Okay, so you kind of like harnessing the energy of somebody else. Okay, and then we also have the naturalist intelligence. Okay, the naturalist intelligence obviously has to do with nature, with the environment. Um, this person is in a high type of their intelligence, and they are mostly in tune with nature and interested in nurturing. So nature and nurture, the concept of growing, maturing. They explore the environment. They learn about species. They're interested in the way things happen around them, and they're very aware of the subtle changes to their environments. Okay. So this person is probably interested in botany, biology, and zoology. They are probably really good at categorizing and cataloging information easily. And they may enjoy being with nature, therefore, camping, gardening, hiking, exploring the outdoors. And they usually don't enjoy learning unfamiliar topics that they have no connection to nature. Okay. So this could be a person that, for example, I don't want to talk about abstract ideas. I see how nature influences me, and that's how I rationalize the world around me. And therefore, they could be somewhere around the aspect of a biologist, a conservationist, a gardener, or a farmer. Okay? So these are our intelligence. These are the 8 intelligences that I shared with you guys at the beginning. And I want to ask you once again, what type of intelligence do you find you're more leaning towards, or maybe one that you're really not? Okay, and maybe give an example. Think about it. Okay, I can tell you right off the bat that I am a very big mix. Okay, for example, I would say I'm visual and spatial because I love the arts. Okay, I love finding a creative process. I would say that I'm linguistic and verbal because obviously I'm a chatterbox and I never shut up. And I always look for humor in everything. I'm an interpersonal because I like to listen to people as well. I like to feel a sense of community. Okay. Intrapersonal, I think maybe I was a little bit more intrapersonal when I was younger, and today I don't find myself to really kind of dig deep into my emotions and my motivations. I really don't care, to be honest with you. I care more about how we can move together to kind of like how Johnny says, to use the inputs to kind of better develop the idea. Okay. Um, I'm definitely not logical at all. I think I'm pragmatic though. I could definitely see that I'm a pragmatic person because whenever something happens, I'm like, that's the way it is, and let's move on. Okay. Musical and kinesthetic, I definitely am. I love movement. I love sound. I love feeling through non-visual and non-verbal ways. And I think that helps me to better express myself. Okay. Because I search for ways to express myself maybe through music or maybe through movement. And naturalist, I definitely care about nature. Okay. But I tend to be more of the interpersonal because I like to talk about philosophy. I like to talk about theories. Okay, so tell me, guys, what kind of mix are you? What cocktail? Okay, what intelligence cocktail are you? Because when I think of the intelligences, I want you to mix these. I want you to make a nice, sex on the beach cocktail of intelligences. I want you to make a dry martini intelligence cocktail because you are completely different than anybody else. That is one thing that we really need to understand. We always have similarities. We always can find a common ground. But always remember that you are an individual and you have certain things that make you tick, that your chemistry is a little bit different than the person next to you. Okay? Oh, but Johnny, come on. I know that you are not just logical and mathematical. I'm sure that there are certain times where you pull from different types of intelligences, and I can't wait for you to tell me a little bit more. Okay? So these are some intelligences. I'll tell you this much. My brother and I, we really like to give each other these different tests. Okay, we really enjoy this idea of figuring out what type of level of capacity in our character and in our personality, how these things play out in our everyday operation. Because I'll tell you this much: a lot of times when we do these little tests, I know they're kind of cheeky and they're kind of funny, and some of them are are silly, but I think these little tests help us to kind of have that simple realization, that simple moment of, huh, I always thought about it, but I didn't know how to describe it. And I think, especially now in this time that we're in, we need to think about it because when we talk about genius, when we come out of uh, this, this situation, we're gonna want to run. Okay, we're going to want to go as fast as we can, as quick as we can, and we're going to try to recuperate everything that we think we have lost. But we really didn't lose anything. We have to remember that in this time we're synthesizing. Okay, we're kind of boiling everything down to its basic ingredients, and from those basic ingredients, we can really kind of build off of those things. We can make a better foundation to grow and develop. Okay. And so when we talk about geniuses and intelligences and smarts, okay, never ever think that you're dumb because I could say that I am as dumb as a rock, okay? But sometimes it's very hard to move a rock. So that weight of the rock can be smart in itself because you can't move it from its idea. Mhm. Very good. So yeah, Johnny, you're very into technology and you're into kind of developing. I can see that maybe you and I are the type of people that want the smart house, that everything, the walls change colors, and all of the home appliances adapt to the way we're feeling and thinking in this time. Okay, very cool. So when we talk about genius, I'm going to change screens. Okay. So when we talk about genius, we talk about this really bright intellect, this person that just shines, this person that is almost untouchable because they have a mission. Some people I think are born with a mission, and it's quite impressive to see this drive in an individual. And when we talk about prodigies, the idea, the beauty of everything, I like to say that, yeah, I was a child prodigy in nothing. But a prodigy is someone that really comes before their time. We could think of Mozart, who was a child pianist who was a phenomenal called a child prodigy. Uh, we also have, like, I think there was a movie. This could be really a bad connection, but I think it was like Baby Buddha or something like that. I'm not sure, but it was the fact that this child was like the reincarnation of Buddha. I think it was a movie with Brad Pitt. I don't know. If you guys remember the movie, let me know. Um, but prodigies are those people that are really, really skilled there, and they come to it at a very young age. Like Picasso was a prodigy because by the time he was 13, he was already a master painter. Okay, he could paint anything and everything, and that's why he got bored. And and that's what's interesting about life is especially now, if you're feeling bored, You're in a very good position, okay? Remember that. You're in a very good position if you're bored right now, because you are forcing yourself to find entertainment and find inspiration and find something in nothing. And that's what's a really good position to be in. You see, before all of this chaos happened, we were living in a world that was go, go, go. We were living in a world that you and me, we worked until 8 or 9, 10 at night. We got home, we ate something, we went to bed, we woke up, we got back into it, we got the rhythm, we're rolling, we're fast, we're hitting it, we're doing it, everything's going good, perfect, boom, 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 and then wall, stop. And now we're in this pause, but it's not a pause. It's a changing. It's a it's a transformation. It's a way that we can reflect, in a way that we can really kind of take a moment to see all of the years that have occurred before us and see how far off the path we have strayed, or to reconcentrate ourselves on what it is we really want. And that's your genius. That's your logic. That's your intelligence. That's your the difference between subjective and objective thinking. And that's really what we're talking about. Is we're talking about objectivity and subjectivity. Um, so we're going to look at a child genius. Okay, so here we have a 9-year-old little math genius from Hong Kong, and he has been accepted to study mathematics at a local university. The child prodigy, March Bodiharyo, will become the youngest college student in the city. The university will create a specially designed 5-year course, which will see him gain a bachelor's and master's degree together. So, do you foresee any issues for a 9-year-old March at university? What do you think are some of the advantages and drawbacks for university? And how would you feel if you were 18 years old and in the same lectures as a 9-year-old? And do you know any other child geniuses? Okay. So taking a look at this, what do you think? Because my first discussion or the first point I kind of think about, now everyone being at home, uh, we have a really interesting thing about education. It's all here now. It's all on this screen, on the internet, and we can use it or not use it. And I think that what we're going to see in a few years is the sense that people who are more focused or geared towards book smarts, they're going to be able to go through classes and even do university classes online by the age of 13. And I think this is a good point, because what it's going to do is it's going to put pressure on the education system to really help, in my opinion, help improve the education system and the education standard. And what I hope out of all of this is that by the end of this, we have a sense of a universal standard for where a child at 14 or where a young adult at 18 should be intellectually, so that we can have a playing ground, an even field, so that everyone can at least understand and connect culturally, logically, historically, on the events that have already happened, and help ourselves give a nice ground to project and grow and build from. Okay. So for me, I wouldn't mind if this little 9-year-old kid was in my class. At 18, probably yes, because at 18, I was a very selfish person. But I think at the same time, it would be kind of cool, because I think when you're a young adult, especially a teenager, you kind of get mixed up in always trying to be cool and always trying to, keep up with everybody else. And I think to have a young kid it would kind of eliminate that pressure of always trying to be more adult and cooler and sweeter. You see, I think I think it's important in a way to kind of mix ages in different parts of our life to restart that sensation of innocence and childlike behavior, because you know I think of my grandfather who had the spice of life, and it was the fact that he chose to never really lose that sense of childlike wonder. Okay? And I think that's an important thing. You guys should always be curious and always be wondering about something. Always be scratching your brain, like right now. Okay? So now we're going to prepare a small little speech, and we're going to talk about supporting or against admitting a 9-year-old student into their mathematics program. And we have to back up our reasons with personal views and facts. And we need to use persuasive language. Okay? So I want you guys now to kind of take the next minute or two to kind of develop an idea. Okay, are you for or against this young child to come into your realm, uh, to really see if this kid can, keep up with us? Very good, Johnny. So Johnny already came through with, there are some advantages than drawbacks for both professors and normal students to have a child in the situation. And Johnny, what do you think? What are some examples? What might create a better dynamic for students having a young child? I know in America we have a lot of kind of this baby genius type films, where we have this situation, and I think it's I think it would be cool even to be kind of a classmate with this little guy. Okay, there's actually a show. There's a show if you guys are interested called Smart Guy. Let's see if I can find it. You guys have it as well in Italy. It was Un Genio in Famiglia. Okay, and Smart Guy was this fantastic show. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Um, Ta-da. Okay, to give you guys a better idea, this show, in my opinion, was hilarious because it was a brother, a sister, and a young brother, baby brother. And this kid went to high school with his siblings, and it was this kind of sense of this little guy in a big world. And I don't know. I think it's interesting. So Johnny and I are definitely for it. Okay, very cool. And what might be the reason that you're for it? Would it be maybe the reason that it could create a different dynamic? It could create people, it could give young students definitely a situation on how to deal with different situations, give them firsthand experience of maybe working with somebody at that caliber. Okay, could be anything like that. Um, but I agree. Especially being a teacher today, um, if you are on an even playing field, anybody and everybody is welcome in the debate. I think that's the most important thing to remember. So, uh, I got to close, guys. It was great talking with you. Johnny, thank you very much for your participation today. And for those of you who are watching later, keep your curiosity strong, okay? And always remember that you can follow us at any time. You can ask us questions on Facebook, Instagram. You can call our consultants, okay? We're here for you, and thank you so much. So you guys all have a very great day. Thank you for following us, And I hope to see you soon. Okay, you can always follow master classes and business classes around 1 p.m. as well as 10 to 13s in the afternoon and in the morning. And if you want to touch up on some lower level stuff, you can hit our others in around 9 a.m. until about 7 in the evening. Okay, have a great day, guys. Bye.